My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is, if getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Thoughts of suicide may feel impossible to overcome, but with help and support, you can find hope and meaning. Call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK to speak to a counselor, or visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. It's free, it's confidential, it's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And even if it feels like it, you're not alone.
Welcome, everybody, to the premiere edition of He Said, She Said. Tonight, joining me is my co-host, Mickey Blowtorch. Hi, Mickey.
Hello, I am Mickey Blowtorch. Happy to be here. Our pilot episode of the
episode, yes.
franchise will become.
Yeah, and to explain what we decided to do, Podcast Divided will be taking every other Tuesday. So next week you'll have Pod Divided, and then after that you'll have He Said, She Said. So that's why Pod Divided is not going away. It's just splitting the time slot. So Anyway, so how's things with you?
Oh, they're lovely. It's been, I think 2 weeks since since I got to co-host a Pod Divided, which was a super fun time. And then from there, we actually decided we're going to have our own show. So that's how we ended up here.
Yeah, that was fun.
Let me tell you what, the last 2 weeks feels like 5 years. I don't even know what's going on anymore. What do we have, like the bottom drop out of oil yesterday? All kinds of crazy stuff.
Ooh, yeah, that was fun. It has been a roller coaster. I will say that.
Just so much stuff in one single day that it feels like each day is a week long. So it's really screwing with my head, and I'm just trying to keep everything straight. But man, I could swear there's been like 2 Christmases since our last episode.
It seems like yeah, pretty much. I think my sister has another grandchild by now. I don't know, but this year has proven to be. I mean, you know how everybody says, "Oh, just wait till next year." You know, things can only get better. Blah blah blah. And I think ever since 2013, definitely 2016 was the year of the dumpster fire. Yeah. And now looking back, we're all looking fondly at 2016, saying, those were the good old days.
I look forward to worrying about the Mayan calendar being correct and the end of the world in 2012. You know? Jeez, we just circumvented all of this. That
was something that we studied because I don't know if you're aware. That was my major in college. Was anthropology, and we studied the Mayan calendar, and that was the biggest joke going around back then, that, oh my God, it stopped in 2012. Well, it's just that they ran out of room. I'm sure there's some other wheel somewhere that just kept going that nobody's found yet.
Somebody probably accidentally dropped, like Mel Brooks in
yes,
when he had the 15 Commandments.
Exactly.
So we've got all that fun stuff going on, but what have you guys been doing in your neck of the woods?
Well, as soon as it stops raining, it just gets nice and sunny, and I was over talking to the neighbors, and we convened outside observing the social distancing protocols and everything, and that was a lot of fun. And then it rains again. And so it has been for Texas as it usually is by this time. So I've unfortunately had to paint another item of furniture.
Oh God. You and your unhealthy furniture restoration habit. You're going to end up in like
Actually, this week I am restoring. I found 2 tables that are vintage, mid-century modern. So I'm actually restoring them, not painting them. So, and it has been a chore already. I'm already bitterly regretting getting into this, but it's a challenge. So this time, instead of painting, I'm removing paint instead of adding it. It's a change of pace, man. It's a change of pace.
What is happening? I just don't know anymore. So, this week we wanted to talk about some, I guess, recipes. Is that what we were discussing earlier?
Well, I was inspired because of a Twitter post that you made that set the entire culinary world on fire. And I know you know which one I'm talking about.
I'm uncertain. This was a pretty interesting week on Twitter. You must be talking about the tomahawk incident.
Oh dear God.
That was incredible. As I'm sure everybody knows on Twitter, I cooked up a tomahawk, I guess, last week. Mm-hmm. And when I cooked this beautiful tomahawk, it got a touch above medium rare. I'll give them that. But, we were still bloody. We were still looking good. However, the one thing that almost got me uprooted and kicked off of Twitter for the rest of my life was the fact that I decided I wanted to consume a Bud Light with this delicious tomahawk. And people lost their shit. Oh, my God. You think I did the most repulsive thing? I could have slept with some guy's wife, and he would have been cool with that. But the second he sees the Bud Light, he's freaking out. No idea what where did all this Bud Light hate come from? I've always enjoyed it. It's a nice domestic lager. It's pleasant. It's not overpowering. It's not underpowering. It's just kind of there, you know. But holy shit, do people hate it.
It was pretty epic. You had that tweet actually got a lot of traffic. And I think you ended up tagging Bud Light on it.
Well, Bud Light actually jumped in. White
better.
It was, I couldn't believe it. I started getting some blue check marks messing with me, and then all of a sudden, here comes Bud Light dressed up like the Bud Light Knight. You don't have to explain yourself to anyone. I'm like, thank you, Bud Light.
That is beyond epic.
You know, they could have sent me some free Bud Light. I mean, that's the least they could have done. So anyway, that was the first day, right? The next day, I was a little perturbed that everybody in the world had to tell me what I could and couldn't drink. Because, you know, the last time I checked, I thought this was America. So,
yeah, and the next day, you actually grabbed my heart with that post. I gotta admit.
The next day, in response to all of the haters in the Bud Light shenanigan, which I still have scars from, I decided to eat Little Debbie zebra cakes with cognac.
Or, you know, white wine or whatever. It's a dessert.
There's nothing wrong with mashing stuff up as long as you're happy about it. And I'm totally happy with myself.
Exactly. And that's the whole point about the whole what the WTF Kitchen Edition, I guess. I'm kind of loath to cuss unless I'm mad. Can you tell?
Are you having a cocktail?
Maybe. Don't judge me.
Hey, this is the tree of trust. We're in a judgment-free zone right now. I mean, we're going to talk about the most intimate culinary details of how disgusting we really are when people aren't looking, and you should be able to be comfortable with talking about your cocktail.
You know, and it's really weird because I have, being Puerto Rican, there are some things we cook over there that most Americans would give a side eye to, and some would just outright puke over. So, you know, I really cannot throw stones from my glass house, but I think we have
a good idea of what you're talking about. I was stationed over there for a little over 3 years. I remember the first time I ordered an entire fish, not really knowing what I was ordering, and it came with the head and all, and the eye kept looking at me the entire time I was eating it. But everything else was absolutely delicious. The pongo, arepas, rice and beans, and the chicken dishes. I mean, like almost 90% of the dishes I had were chicken and rice and beans. I think that's the staple, obviously.
That is pretty much, yeah. The rice and beans is pretty much a staple. It's actually a dish called matrimonio, which means, you know, marriage.
Gonna avoid that dish. Let's eat the bachelor party dish first.
Yes. But I mean, it's, you know, it's really funny because I remember going, I must have been about 22 or 23, and this was the upteenth time I was a bridesmaid at some wedding. And the father of the bride, you know, they went all out for the reception. It was at this country club in Dallas, and it was, I mean, there was a wine for each course of the meal, you know, that kind of thing, right? And so I'm kind of observing, you know, the whole Emily Post thing and whatnot, and I fully expected the father of the bride to do that too, but lo and behold, he's got Coors, a bottle of Coors beer at the table. That's what he chose to drink. Everybody else has to observe Emily Post, but not him. It's just like, well, he gets a pass because he paid for the whole thing, so he gets to drink whatever he wants.
That's my style right there. I totally approve of that.
Yeah, and it was pretty funny. We were all laughing. You know, the bridesmaids and the groomsmen were at one of the tables, and we were all talking about it. How here's this man who is insisting on the best for his daughter and everything, and he insists, and I'm talking, the champagne was Dom Perignon. Okay, I mean, it was very classy. And there he is walking around with a bottle of Coors.
He's up. I like his style. That's something I would totally do. I could win the lottery tomorrow and have just an unlimited amount of disposable income. I'm still going to drink Bud Light. The only difference, I'm going to have like several kegs of it. I'm going to have draft Bud Light. I'm not going to mess with cans anymore.
Oh, so you'll have like kegerators in every floor of the house.
Yeah, I'm going to have like a straw delivery system in my bed. Kidding? It's going to be like a giant Camelback. All I got to do is just grab the tube and start sucking. Giggity.
A Camelback. That's a great idea. I would totally do that with,
be awesome.
Margaritas or something. I don't know.
Oh, margaritas always have a special spot in my heart, too. Okay. I want to talk about a recipe that we were looking at.
Oh, yeah.
Friend Tooth Criminal. She posted that, it was that hash brown casserole. Did that not look freaking incredible?
Yes. And I've actually done a hash brown casserole, but it's not the same as the one that I think she said hers was the Cracker Barrel one.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was Cracker Barrel.
And I don't know what they add. I'm pretty sure it's got to be some kind of opium derivative, something, because it is addictive. I love that stuff.
And I'm just for one, I'm a total potato junkie. I'm just like a straight up potato slut. Hash browns are my favorite kind of potato, but I'll eat them all. And if you put hash browns into a casserole, I mean, come on, that's just like win.
I think, I have to agree. I'm just like, now I'm dreaming of the stupid hash.
I know. I caught myself starting to trail off in just like this total lust mode of daydream.
And I totally blame her. I blame Tooth Criminal. She's there in the chat, by the way. So, yeah. So I'm totally blaming her.
Did you have to show us those 7-Up biscuits?
Yes.
Oh my! What are those? Let's talk about those for a minute.
Well, apparently they're really easy to make. They only require 4 ingredients, and one of them is 7-Up and sour cream, Bisquick mix, and butter. And I'm like, I can manage to make this. I mean, I when it comes to making biscuits, I'm really ham-fisted. I just can't seem to make a really good fluffy biscuit. I can make bread now. I can bake pretty much anything, but biscuits just, I don't know. It defies logic for me. I just can't seem to handle it. So since she posted that recipe, I'm going to try these this weekend, and I will report back. Once they're done, I'll tag you guys in it. But it can't possibly be difficult. But I looked at them, and they don't really look like a traditional biscuit. You have to actually use a square baking pan. So we'll see what happens.
Like, you mean like a bread pan? Or
no, like an 8x8 square.
Oh,
like
okay.
With a brownie pan.
So what do you drop them in, like you're dropping cookies on a sheet, or what's going on with that? I saw the picture of them, and they looked like they had like some kind of crazy glaze over them, which I think is kind of bitching. But I didn't see.
I'm hoping that's butter that they put on it.
Could you imagine a 7-Up glaze?
That would be so amazing.
Let me tell you what about this guy right here. I can take a recipe and I can look at it and I can make it the most unhealthiest abomination you could ever imagine. Just thinking about, oh my God, if I put X, Y, and Z in there, that would be so good. And then, I start fantasizing about it and trailing off into the distance. But yeah, I've got this strange knack to be able to look at stuff and be like, oh yeah, let's add this and just make it this more unhealthy. I could take a regular salad and give somebody a heart attack with it. It's a gift.
Well, that's just like that's how the mac and cheese was pretty much reborn, isn't it? People started adding things to it so as to elevate the flavor. I mean, it started off with adding bacon or bacon fat or something like that just to kick it up. And now you have stuff like lobster mac and cheese. And I'm like,
jalapeno bacon mac and cheese. Yeah. Things where you can just keep on taking it to the next level. So that's kind of a unique dish. There's a couple of them out there, like, chado beans. Me and my girlfriend and I made a really good batch of chado beans a couple weeks ago when I was making that brisket. I don't know if you saw the brisket on Twitter. I got pretty tanked that night. And I couldn't post pictures of it. I had to do it the next day. But what do you expect? You're smoking meat for 18 hours. I'm going to get drunk at some point. So, but it was delicious. Oh, brisket mac and cheese. Holy shit. See, look at us. We're brainstorming over here. This is like a think tank.
I think that addition of a protein to the mac and cheese actually elevates it. Now, my sister tried once. I don't know what she was thinking. She actually added hard-boiled eggs. And I'm like, this is not going to work.
It's like a potato salad almost.
Yeah, and I was like, I looked at her, I was like, this doesn't work. And she's like, but it's like adding chicken. No, it's like, it's uncooked. It's not live chicken. It's unborn chicken that you're adding to it.
Chicken feed eye.
It was hard for her to grasp what I was telling her. But that was pretty funny.
No, I definitely want to try those biscuits, though. And thank you, Tooth and Criminal, for submitting that recipe. Super awesome.
Yeah, and it looks very easy. You just, basically you add the sour cream to the biscuit mix, and then you add the 7-Up to it, and it's a soft dough. And then you add some more biscuit mix on the board, and then you pad dough out into a 9-inch square. You cut out the biscuits and put them into the square baking pan, and the reason it has a glaze, it's the melted butter. That's where you use the butter. It's on top after you've baked them, so, and they don't take very long, 12 to 15 minutes to bake.
I'm gaining weight just by talking about it. I could feel my hips getting that much bigger.
Oh boy.
I got some strong earthen hips.
Well, I can definitely see making these and then like using them for, ham and cheese.
Sliders, holy
yes.
shit.
Or turkey with Gouda.
Or brisket.
Or brisket.
All kinds of applications for this. You know what? I think we should do a deal where we make the biscuits and then, get our friends on Twitter involved too. Who can make the most obnoxious little sandwiches out of this? We can get Claude's Barbecue involved. He makes these incredible breakfast sandwiches. And man, I could just only imagine the potential of these little decadent biscuits of naughtiness and what we can all do if we come together and just have like a little biscuit sandwich slider cook-off there. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, that would be great, I think, in my opinion. Anything with food is always good. I'm not very picky. The older I get, the less pickier I get.
I know exactly where you're coming from.
You know what I mean? I was like, one of the things that we had to do when I was in school for a nutritional anthropology class, they used to have the International Food Festival on campus. And we were to try 5 foods that we had never tried. And, and this was for a grade. I'm going, so I get to eat food for a grade? Great. No problem, right? Well, I get there and it was a big problem because it had to be food I had never eaten before. And, being raised in Texas, you get Tex-Mex food, you get Mexican food, you get, I live literally right north of Mexico, right south of Germany, right west of Czechoslovakia, and right east of wackadoodles off in West Texas. So
you're down with schnitzel burritos.
Yeah, exactly.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
I actually did that once. I took Fritos and I powdered them and I used them as a coating, a coating for schnitzel. It was pretty good.
That is dope. Oh my God, Tex-Mex schnitzel.
Yes, it was great.
Well, I absolutely love fusion food. It's funny when you start talking about it because there's some really screwed up combinations out there. But so one of my very first friends that I made in this neighborhood was this dude named Adrian, and every Sunday he cooked soul food and had the entire neighborhood over at his house just chowing down, just piles of food. It was so delicious. So I started thinking about, some of the recipes, and of course he wouldn't tell me about any of them. A lot of them were from his grandmother and from his mother, and he just held them so sacred to his own, I guess, whatever reverence. So I started trying to replicate stuff, and I ended up doing like Irish soul food fusion foods. Like I would do cabbage and potatoes, but then I would add in ham hocks and just and collard greens and things like that. And I got a little crazy with it, and most of it turned out really good because I thought a lot of it was real compatible, considering that the Irish, eat a lot of boiled meats and potatoes and blander things, and you spice it up a little bit with flavor. It was nuts. It was good.
Oh wow! I bet that would really, really go. I mean, there's some cuisines that I would never do fusion with. I'll be honest. I prefer my Italian food to stay Italian and not mess any British crap in it.
You want me to blow your mind right now? This is something that's going to be coming from Mickey Blowtorch Enterprises in the future. I've been getting a lot of flack about it, and it's probably going to break Twitter again, more so than the Bud Light Tomahawk evening. But bear with me, I got 2 words for you: spaghetti chimichanga.
No.
Think about this: leftover spaghetti cut up, and then you get that chimichanga wrap, and you're gonna baste it with a garlic butter. Okay, so I'm sure you know how they do chimichangas. It's like a fried burrito,
right?
Baste it with that garlic butter, get it all wrapped up, and then drop it in the hot oil and just fry that little bitch up. Holy shit! To me, that sounds like it would be amazing, but a lot of people are like,
I have to agree. That actually does sound amazing. I remember a few years ago, I actually went to a get-together out in Tampa, friends of a blog that I used to be a member in. And I was privileged to actually be the sous chef for this gentleman who had been the personal chef for the King of Jordan.
Oh.
And for a time, yeah. And so he decided he had made a wonderful lasagna one evening. And I mean, he actually made 2 large lasagna pans, and because there was a large group of us, and there was about a quarter of it was left the following day. And so he decided, you know what? I'm going to deep fry it. And I'm like, dude, you cannot deep fry lasagna. He says, I can deep anything I want. I'm a chef. And he drags my ass into the kitchen and starts telling me how to prepare the breading and all that stuff. It was amazing. It really was. Deep fried lasagna, and it was a big hit. I could not believe that he actually pulled that off. So
did he roll it in panko or something similar?
He used panko. He used Italian seasoned breadcrumbs and some flour. So he used the three. And it was just incredible. It really was. But the trick was the lasagna had to be cold so that it would hold together as you deep fry it.
Well, the same thing with like when you do breaded okra. You've got to put that stuff in the freezer for a little bit to set up before you throw it in the fryer. So yeah, I totally understand that part of it. That's amazing. I can't quit thinking about it right now.
I know.
Wow. Who is this guy? Is he single? Shit. I might marry him. Does he have tigers and cocaine? I'm totally down with that.
I don't think he has
cocaine. Damn.
I haven't talked to him in a while. I can tell you he doesn't have the cocaine. I'm not sure about the tiger thing though. Anything's possible with this guy.
So that actually reminds me of one of my dishes that I had created. Now, I'm a huge fan of meatloaf. I don't know how you feel about meatloaf.
I love meatloaf.
Okay. That's what I was thinking you would say, because meatloaf is so underrated. It gets a lot of unfair hate. And what I assume is, growing up in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, we had these meatloaf dishes that came from recipes that just were absolute shit. I'm sure you recall that. Your folks you're sitting around the table and you're like, Ma, this is bullshit. And then she said,
Oh,
"Don't
yeah.
like that." But anyway, so when I do my meatloaf, I don't do the traditional American meatloaf. I do a Southwest variant of it. And I don't know if you've ever heard of Hatch, New Mexico. They're known for their green chili.
Yes.
They have the best green chili. You can buy it canned in the stores, and they sell like Old El Paso.
Yeah, green chilies. Mm-hmm.
And that's acceptable. I prefer to get the fresh green chili from Hatch, New Mexico itself, and then do a chili roast and peel and seed and freeze and all of that stuff, and have like a 50-pound burlap bag ready to go in the freezer for the next following year. I like to add green chili to almost anything. It makes every dish I've ever done with it just pop that much better. From anything from like a beef stew to, back to my Southwestern meatloaf. So instead of using like a cut up bell peppers, I'll do the roasted green chili. And when it's roasted, it's just got so much of a heavy flavor to it. It's so delicious. And
I should try that. I should try
with
that.
barbecue sauce instead of ketchup, like a spicy
Yeah.
barbecue sauce. And then throw in some other odds and ends like cumin and, adobo, other Southwestern flavors, and you kick that meatloaf up that much more than the boring ass meatloaf that you had to eat when you were 12 years old. And to me, that's amazing. So coming back full circle to what you were telling me about the deep fried lasagna, one time I'd made a batch of my meatloaf, and I was bored the next day. I'm like, it sounds good as some chicken fried meatloaf, Mickey. So I whipped up a batter, coated my meatloaf slices. I sliced it, thin enough for like a sandwich, and then I deep fried them, and I had breaded chicken fried meatloaf. I could only eat 2 pieces of this because it was so delicious and rich. It was like eating some kind of specialized chocolate where you could only have like 2 or 3 pieces. After that, I could eat it all. Trust me, this was rich. This was rich. But it was amazing. And I made this kind of like a horseradish Thousand Island dressing sauce to put on the sandwich. Holy shit. I'm telling you. That was a life changer right there.
I completely believe it. And speaking of like, deep frying things in that, I really like a beer batter. Now, my sister, she has never gotten the hang of making a beer batter, for deep frying and whatever. And one time she overdid it with the beer. There was so much batter that it was like almost an inch before you got to the chicken, that kind of thing. So,
that's not a problem for me. That's great.
It was still good. It was still good. But it was like, by the time you get to the chicken, you're like full on the batter. And you're like, well, I'm full. I can't eat anymore. But I'm gonna have to try doing that deep frying of the meatloaf thing. Deep frying anything actually sounds so good right now.
Anything deep fried is that much better. Deep fried cheesecake, come on! Like you can literally deep fry everything. But batter,
the state fair is public service number 1 when it comes to deep frying anything. They've done deep fried Kool-Aid, deep fried butter, deep fried Oreos, deep fried everything.
I try not to be judgmental when we're talking about like the deep fried butter and things like that. It gets a little wacky with what they're deep frying, but at the same time, I've got to support it because that's awesome.
I deeply believe that deep frying anything is it's acceptable to me. Like I said, as I was saying, way before when I had to do the International Food Festival and had to eat 5 things, one of the things that I ate was Chinese water beetles. But to give them credit, it's not the whole beetle that gets cooked.
Is that how Corona 15 started?
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm a little apprehensive of anything that gets a little goofy now. So water beetles, how do they surf them?
And I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of eating insects, but the way this year is going, we may actually have to have, some kind of I don't know. It's going to be an apocalypse, and we're going to be eating insects all over the place. So there's that to look forward to. I'm not a big fan, but I'll say that the Chinese water beetles, when they were sautéed in butter with a little bit of garlic and stuff, they're actually pretty good. I'm not going to eat, and I'm not going out of my way for that. But
what do they look like? Were they kind of like a scarab almost?
They have that look, but it's just a thorax, so no legs. So they look like little peanuts, and they actually tasted like garlic peanuts.
That was my stage name back in '68 with peanut. Well, tell me about consistency. Let's consistency.
It's crunchy.
Bless you.
Okay, so with that, let's take a break real quick, and we'll be back with more kitchen shenanigans.
Oh.
As a small business owner, you deserve more. More confidence, more connectivity, more of the tools that help your business thrive. And at Cox Business, you can expect more from us. We don't just have sales reps. We have perfect plan identifiers. People who will work with you to make sure your business gets everything it needs and nothing that it doesn't. Your business deserves more, and that's why you can expect more from Cox Business. Call 800-526-8572 to switch today.
There's nothing more predictable in life than the unexpected. Lightning will always strike. Hail will fall on roofs. Fortunately, there's AAA. AAA has been helping members stay prepared for over 100 years. So when unusual storms, fallen debris, or sudden leaks happen, you'll be covered. Check, check, and check. Get the home and auto insurance you need by talking with a AAA insurance agent today. Visit AAA.com/insurance or stop by your local AAA store.
If you prefer real mornings, shouldn't you have a real breakfast? At McDonald's, we get real about breakfast. That's why you can have a savory sausage biscuit with delicious hash browns for only $1.50. It's time to wake up breakfast. Single item at regular price. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
And we're back, talking about kitchen shenanigans again. And with me is Nikki. I'm still laughing about Sorry, I started thinking about all the stuff I ate that day. And I gotta say, the beetles, those little Chinese water beetles were probably not the worst thing I had.
What was the worst thing you had? So was this class?
This was actually this was before it. I went to school back in the 80s, and this was well before they started restricting what kind of meats could be sold and imported from.
So dolphin and spotted owl.
No, it wasn't that good. It was monkey.
Albino gorilla.
And I had muktuk as well, which is whale blubber, and that's not too bad, but it's very salty and very grainy, and it just sticks to the roof of your mouth, and it just drives me crazy, and I just
I bet you could find a cooking application for whale blubber, but I would hate to kill whales. They're so beautiful.
I know. I was very conflicted about that, and that was the problem. Most of the food there I had already, so I I had to work really hard to find 5 things I had not had in my lifetime. So.
Oh.
Yeah, it was international food festival, but it was like mostly stuff that you can get takeout. Like Chinese and Japanese food, Mexican. So
I think probably thinking back to just notorious dishes I've eaten, the thing that sticks out in my mind the most, and it wasn't the most disgusting dish, but I was actually on deployment in the Middle East, and one of our very first times away, our little port visit or vacation, you get a little 2 or 3 day vacation every once in a while. We were in a country called Oman, and I stayed at this resort. It was just absolutely gorgeous. And I'd spent a lot of time around the Southwest and the Mexican border, as a lot of folks know. And I found a Mexican restaurant there in the Middle East, and I thought, holy shit, this is going to be great. Because I had not had Mexican food forever. And, I'd been used to eating the military food, which isn't so bad sometimes. But I was at this restaurant, and I'm like, I'm going to have some enchiladas. And I ordered them up. I'm totally stoked. I'm eating some guacamole. It's, más o menos, traditional tasting, but, it's coming from a restaurant. So I figure everything seems on the up and up. So they bring me out the enchiladas. And instead of red enchilada sauce, it was marinara. They were like spaghetti flavored enchiladas. It was the most appalling thing I've ever tasted, but I was so hungry, and this was the first meal I had that wasn't U.S. military sponsored. I ate the entire dish. But holy shit, I felt dirty afterwards. I had to go pray.
I was in Hawaii. This was back in the 90s, and we were walking downtown Honolulu, and we saw this restaurant, and it was Bandito's Cantina, and the sign outside said voted number 1 by the Kama'aina being the locals, right? Mm-hmm. And so I said, hey, it's voted number 1 Mexican restaurant. How bad can it be? Well, considering the Kama'aina don't know what real Mexican food is like, it was pretty bad.
The same thing for the Middle Eastern folks.
Yep. Oh, my goodness. I have friends that live in Würzburg, Germany, and there's a Mexican food restaurant there. They came to visit here in Texas, and I took them to have Tex-Mex, and they're eating this, and they're like, "This is incredible! This is fantastic!" And I looked at her and I said, "Monica, I thought you said you had a Mexican food restaurant over there," and she says, "It's in Germany, run by Germans. How Mexican can it be?"
You could have taken the taco and blown their mind.
That's true. I still remember when they opened a Hooters outside of Heidelberg.
Oh, Heidelberg Hooters.
Yes,
that one.
Yes, and it was, and I was just like, I asked her, how do you think it's gonna do? She's like, well, let me tell you what happened. They had American Hooters girls for the first 2 weeks to get people to come in, but now they're German ones. I don't think people are gonna go back.
You've got Hooters Helga.
Yes.
With her French braids and lederhosen.
It was quite a debacle, but but they left going over there because they felt it was the American experience, and I was like, oh boy, I guess it is the American experience to go to Hooters. I don't know.
I will have 25 wings and strudel.
Und beer. Oh, man.
I've been to several Hooters around the world, as any former military member would, and of
course.
I tell you what, the worst one I ever visited was in San Juan, Puerto Rico. That Hooter was so backwards and terrible. Yeah, but yeah,
I'm surprised. I think the last time I was in Puerto Rico, gosh, it has been decades. But all of the large American chains that tend to have a franchise in the either outside of the Old Quarter or El Condado, around the main area of San Juan, they are not really good compared to what you have over here. I mean, not even their IHOP, not Denny's, nothing.
I got kicked out of Denny's in Old San Juan.
What? How?
Let me tell you, Attell. My friends and I had spent the night in San Juan just clubbing and drinking. So, we had gotten housed. And so after the clubs closed, we went to Denny's. I had ordered biscuits and gravy because that's what I was wanting. It didn't have it on the menu, but I was drunk and American, and I just wanted some biscuits and gravy. And they brought out the biscuits and the gravy after waiting for like an hour, and it was 2 tiny little biscuits with like a spoonful of gravy on each one, and I just lost my shit. They asked me to never come back. I was beside myself. This abomination of it looked like you got biscuits and gravy at some super 5-star restaurant in New York. They garnished it and dressed the plate with a little smear of gravy, and oh my God, it was an abomination. I'll tell you that.
Kind of like that ad with the little the chicken, the tomato reduction, or whatever, the chicken croquettes with the tomato reduction, and it's chicken nuggets with ketchup. Yeah.
Oh my God. So, but yeah, I mean, how do you get kicked out of a Denny's in Puerto Rico? It's hard to get kicked out of a Denny's in the United States, let alone Puerto Rico. But I'm that guy. We got kicked out.
I'm impressed. I really am impressed because as rowdy as my family is, and Lord knows I have the gamut of all sorts of people in my family, being as large as it is, nobody has ever gotten kicked out of a Denny's in Puerto Rico in my family. And I have, on one side, I have over 85 cousins. So
oh my God.
The odds are that one of them should have gotten kicked out before you. But it's hard to do. I don't think they've ever. I'm not saying they haven't been kicked out of someplace. I mean, you're not Puerto Rican unless you've been, thrown out of a bar, but never out of a Denny's, no.
I can get kicked out of anywhere. Just give me enough booze, I can make it happen. My special power. Especially when you get me rolling.
I'm still aghast that you got kicked out of a Denny's. I mean, you realize I'm going to have to tell this story to my father.
You have to.
And I have to. And my dad is, the first words are going to be, who the hell gets kicked out of a Denny's in Puerto Rico?
Mickey F. and Blowtorch.
Now, my dad has gotten kicked out of places before, and but my dad is very, very classy when it comes to being kicked out. If he's going to be kicked out, he demands to be escorted out as a gentleman, never thrown physically or anything, but simply escorted out. And he has a couple of times that I can recall. So he says, I will be kicked out, but with dignity and respect.
I will grab my fedora and overcoat and escort myself to the door, sir.
I'm surprised he didn't have a monocle at the ready.
I would slap the bouncer in the face with a glove and demand satisfaction.
Yeah, you would do that.
I've on the bright side of things, I've never been kicked out of a Waffle House. I think if you get kicked out of a Waffle House, that's like rock bottom for life, right there.
But and yet Waffle House is such a great chain. I mean,
oh my God, it's delicious.
It is. It's awesome. But yeah, if you do get kicked out of a Waffle House, you have hit rock bottom. I mean,
what do you have to do to get kicked out of a Waffle House? Basically, be nude and snorting cocaine on a table. I don't know. Is that what you do?
I don't don't know, because I remember reading, I think it was one in Kansas City actually had some naked woman just walk in, just screaming and everything, and they didn't kick her out. The guy went and got an apron so that he could cover her up, and then they called the police because she was obviously disoriented or something. But they didn't kick her out.
Did they take her food?
Yeah, they gave her food too.
Great. That's what I love Waffle House. Waffle House was a drunk sailor's home, no matter what. They were always there with open arms and terrible attitudes and delicious food.
Okay, and here's our producer Lou in that saying that she actually got kicked out of a Waffle House. So I don't know what she did.
We're going to have to interview her.
She said, come on.
Oh, snap.
That's incredible. I'm going to be laughing about this all night.
So I was thinking for our next bi-weekly topic. Next week's coming up is the Pod Divided, Craig.
Right.
And then we're going to be on every opposite week. So we can let's do a couple polls on Twitter and see what kind of topic people want to hear about out there for you and I to give our feminine and masculine unsolicited opinions about.
Done. But keep it PG. I know you.
Oh, we still need a disclaimer. But yeah, we can really,
yes.
I'm down with PG. I can make PG a little bit raunchy for entertainment purposes.
No, it's fine. It should be, a poll is always great. Sometimes it can be abused, though, so be careful.
But, we got 2 weeks to figure it out. Let's get some interaction with the listeners out there and then pick the next topic and go friggin' apeshit from there.
Oh yeah, I think I've done like a couple of polls when I had my regular account, my main account. I had done like 2 or 3 polls, and one of them was for Halloween. Was what should I be for Halloween? That was the year that everybody picked me to be June Cleaver, so that was pretty epic.
Oh, you know what? I think when I very first met you, you were in a Tippi Hedren Halloween costume.
Oh yes, that was my Tipa Hedren because I wasn't blonde. I was Hispanic. So
I love it. Love everything about it. Actually, I saw her here locally. We had a viewing of The Birds at one of our restored theaters, and she gave a speech afterwards. Really cool. Probably a story for another episode, but yeah.
That must have been so amazing. She has had such a rough life. I mean, I love Alfred Hitchcock movies, but I never liked the man. He was just a control freak. And
she talked about that too on stage, and it got a little intense, and they had to pull her away from the subject. But that was the first time I'd ever heard about it, and it totally changed my opinion on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he was very. And Melanie Griffith, who is Tippi Hedren's daughter, can confirm some of the stuff her mom has said. So anyway,
that's a total she said subject, but I believe a lot of the Hedren stuff. Granted, it's never really gonna come to light like it fully would. Totally weird and unexpected, I think, from Hitchcock.
Oh yeah. Well, that's gonna about do it for tonight's podcast, I guess. We're coming up on the top of the hour, so where can we find you, Mickey?
You guys can find me on Twitter as normal at Mickey Blowtorch, over there being obnoxious and awesome.
With a tomahawk and a Bud Light.
Absolutely. It'd be my big move. And honey, if you're listening downstairs, if you could bring me up another beer, that would be awesome. I'm gonna throw that out.
Great.
Throw that out. Shout out. Need a beer.
You need a kegerator upstairs.
I do, totally do.
You do. You need a kegerator upstairs, or at least one of those little wine
Oh, like a box?
refrigerators.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we could do that. That'd totally be awesome in my little studio up here.
Yeah, or just a small refrigerator where you can keep your snacks and your wine and your beer and all that. All of it.
All of it.
Yep. See, I come up with some good ideas every so often.
This is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Thank you, Vic.
That was so sweet of her.
I know she's absolutely a sweetheart, totally patient with me because I am super obnoxious. I can't complain. But I had so much fun with you tonight. I had so much fun. You invited me 2 weeks ago to co-host with you on your other podcast. And I think that's cool that we're doing this moving forward. I want to thank all of you guys for listening and supporting me because I'm total noob and don't know what I'm doing. And,
baloney.
Thank you
so much. Like you're doing.
Well, I did watch Private Parts, the Howard Stern movie last night, so I feel like I did study up on what I'm supposed to do. You did. And I felt very prepared after watching Stern's movie. Great show. A lot of nudity. Loved it.
Well, I was watching Murder, She Wrote. It's what I do. This is how I prepare.
I picture you typing with the theme music playing when you write up our show schedule.
I'm not kidding. I even have a T-shirt with her face on it. I have a pillow out there that I use whenever that I get ready to watch. I'm a big fan.
Well, that's it for Christmas. I've got you scored for Christmas.
Yay! Anyway, let's see. So you can find Mickey and me here every other Tuesday on He Said, She Said, and you can find me along with LL or Martini Shark, also known as Brett Slager, for a Pod Divided on the opposite Tuesdays. And you can find me for now at Twitter at Aggie the Barkeep. So until I get my main account back, which is still suspended.
I'll make a call for you.
Huh?
I'll make a call.
You'll make a call. Okay.
No, people.
Anyway, thanks so much for tuning in, you guys. It was great.
Thank you, guys.